So here's a touching story. Long ago, back in a dark era called the 90s, one of the reigning asinine comic book companies out there was this little group called Image that was run by such writers as Todd McFarlane and Rob Liefeld. These people decided to make dark and edgy comics with blurred and outlandish characters, and had their lead character by the name of Spawn had to be in everything from from not just comics but in trading cards to a movie that sucked. And then a few years later, they disappeared. No one seemed to give a rat's ass where they went. But recently, in the past few years, Image has made a hell of a comeback. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Could Image be the new mega company? Could Image be the new, powerhouse company that could go blow for blow with the likes of the two big ones, Marvel and DC? That's what I'm going to be talking about today. Well, in this video, at least. This is a very interesting subject on the ground of, you see, for a long time, if you were to talk to me back in the the late 90s to the early 2000s, if you told me, you traveled backwards in time to the year 1999, and I was reading, I was just starting to read comics, and even then I knew early Image comics had their suckiness to them. But if you were to go back in time and tell me, hey man, Image is going to kill it in a few years. They're going to get some great writers. They're going to kick out some of the old guys, or some of the old guys are going to leave. It's going to get better. Don't worry, it's going to get better. I would have punched you dead in the face, because I would have called you a liar and I don't know, my joke just kind of died right there. Sorry, I had a joke. I had a Ricky Bobby joke, but I lost it. Sorry. But anywho, like I said, if you were to tell me that, I'd have laughed my ass off and punched you in the face and called you a liar. But now, as I see it, this Image has been really killing it. With so many other great ideas out there, and with the inclusion of not just Walking Dead, but you have you have Manhattan Projects, you have Saga, you have this new comic book series Ghosted, you still have Savage Dragon, which has been still under Eric Lawson. You still have Spawn, although Spawn's now on the back burner. Who cares about Spawn anymore? I don't even think Spawn cares about Spawn anymore. But, continuing on, there's been so many other great titles that have been added in, and so many great writers and up-and-coming writers that can go in and do whatever they want with their own universe. And I really enjoy that. I really am glad that Image is finally doing what, this is something Image was supposed to do from the get-go. Allowing writers to just write what they want. Nothing held back. Nothing, have the artist or the writer in control of it, have the creators in control of everything. That's the main key. And now look at them. Look at Image. You see at least one or two of their comics every month on the top 10 most sold list. You usually see one or two, sometimes even 3 or 4 of their books on the top 5 on the most sold list. They're up there competing with Marvel and DC. And you could say this for the other companies. You could say this for Boom Studios. You could say this for Valiant. Valiant's been made a massive comeback as well. And you could say this for IDW. But I think the reason why I'm saying Image is the most, because I think Image has made the most improvement. Image has been making the most satisfactory comics. And I think it's kind of on the board, really, because it's really kind of unanimously on the board. If you talk to everyone, it's like, oh yeah, I love Marvel or I love DC, but goddamn do I love some Image. That's usually what you'll get. It's like someone's going to bring up, if you asked a comic book reader today, if you ask them, what are some of your favorite companies, there's a good shot, there's a good chance that Image is going to be on that list. Maybe at the top, maybe just mentioned, maybe in the top 3 or 4, maybe in the top 10. But the main thing is that no one ever expected Image to be this good. No one ever expected Image to be this good when it was under, it was supposed to be, Image was very close in the 90s to the early 2000s to just be called Spawn and His Amazing Friends. That's what it could have been. And that's what it might have been had there not been some major changes. And now look at them. They've got TV. They've got a Academy Award-winning TV show. Well, yeah, an award-winning TV show on that is under AMC. They've had multiple comics sold, millions sold worldwide, and the possibilities are endless for Image. That's what I'm trying to get at, and it's kind of funny that when you took out Liefeld and Jim Lee, and you put them, it's kind of funny that I find it hilarious that you have you see a lot of modern storytelling from Image Comics, and then you go look at something like, ooh, I don't know, DC, and then you see these very 90s comics-esque stories through most of their comics, and it's kind of like you went to Bizarro World, isn't it? Yeah. And again, I can't, I've been loving what Marvel's been doing. Marvel has a pretty fucking good hold on what they've been doing with their characters with Marvel now. I think you can give a lot of that to Axel Alonso. I think he's had a really good handle since he's become editor after Quesada was no longer editor-in-chief and Alonso took over. You can really give some credit there, but we're not here to talk about Marvel. Image has been, I think, under the right directions. I think I forget who's in charge. I think it's Lawson. I think it's Eric Lawson, or is it Mark Silvestri? I can't remember who's in charge now. But whoever's in charge has made some really good decisions. It's just literally like, I think the new editor-in-chief and the people on the board of Image is just like, you know what? Let's just let writers write. Let's let them do stuff. I mean, look at all the other writers. Grant Morrison's joining Image. Matt Fraction's doing this comic book series called Satellite Sam, which from what I understand, is amazing from the few issues that's out. John Layman and his comic book Chew. That's one of my favorite Image books. Again, Saga. Saga is their homeboy right now. So, not next to Walking Dead. Saga is their selling point. That is their giant magnum opus. So, anywho, I think it's kind of interesting that an independent company that you would have thought could have and should have tanked in the early 2000s because everyone just couldn't give a rat's ass anymore about them, kind of has risen above to become one of the major comic book companies out there. I find it fascinating that this little company that no one could have cared about decided to go all out, decided to, become a very creator-happy, creator-friendly, environment. And every time I see interviews of people going to Image Comics and doing their own things, they always seem very happy about, talking about their own projects or, talking about all the ideas they have and you get the sense that they're not being restrained. They're not being told what to do. The only thing I think that sometimes I feel like the head of the Image Comics, the higher ups in Image is just like, yeah, just tell us what you're writing and have fun. That's sometimes what there's obviously more to that. There's obviously probably a lot more, but that's what I feel like sometimes they really do is just they just tell them have fun with it. And that's kind of what the thing is like you see a lot of these comics and they have a fun to it. The writers get to do whatever they fucking want. I mean, Jonathan Hickman's Manhattan Projects. Whoever thought the idea of having the people who put together the atomic bomb going on these weird science fiction adventures? Not me. Jonathan Hickman, you delightful madman, you. And that's the same thing with a lot of these other creator-owned comics. Is that this is stuff they really wanted to do, or this is stuff they wanted to do with established characters from Marvel and DC, but could never get the go ahead to do it. So it's pretty much it usually adds up to, okay, I can't do it with your characters. I'll go do the story I want with mine. That's usually what it is nowadays. Because the higher ups don't from Marvel and DC are like, no, you can't do this with this character, and the writer still on the book. Keep in mind, a lot of these people, like Matt Fraction, he's still on Marvel, but he does Image books. And what happens is they usually be like, all right, I can't do this with your character. I'll go do it with my characters. I'll make up some own characters, and we'll do a story that I wanted to do. I don't know. It just feels like a great experience. You know what I'm saying? It just has like this great overall feel. And here I am, just doing something I never thought I would do, praising Image Comics. Did you ever think that would happen? Not me. This is a company, honestly, out of all, as much as I'd love to work at Marvel and DC and write some of their iconic characters, preferably, I'd like to just stay at Image. I'd like to just work at Image Comics. I'd love to do that. And it just seems a lot easier to break into with Image. That's what I feel like. And not only that, you've got, and I can't undersell the other great companies. I can't undersell IDW. I can't undersell Dark Horse, because they've been doing very well as well. Also, side note about Dark Horse, when I found out that Corey Taylor, the lead singer of Slipknot and Stone Sour, was doing a comic book based on one of his new albums, I am going to wait for trade to get that shit. That is kind of confirmed, because frickin' love Slipknot and Stone Sour. So if Corey Taylor's writing a comic book, I'm all over that shit. That's just a minor side note. So I'll try to get that. If it gets in trade in Dark Horse, I'll easily pick that up. But we're not here to talk about that. But really, there's nothing more to say about Image other than, if you're not reading Image, what are you doing? And here's the cool thing about it. Here's something cool about Image. They have a great. I think this is one of their best marketing ploys ever. Like, ever. Their biggest marketing ploy is that they get you. They're this, and I think they also do this with their other company, Top Cow. What Image and Top Cow like to do is put out trades. Their first volume, all their volumes, their first volume trades, at least like 95% of them. It depends on what you got, but 90 to 95% of the paperback trades you find from Image, they're $9.99. It's just $10. That's it, $10. And then if you want to read more, I mean, yeah, it's going to get a little more pricier, like $15.99 or $17.99, and I'm adding tax with that number. But yeah, that's a great way to suck someone in. Like, if you read the first volume and just like, oh, holy fuck, I gotta read more, this is amazing. So I think that's a great selling point. And also, I think Dark Horse does this. I know Boom Studios does. I know Boom Studios does this too. IDW, as much as I love them, they're my favorite company. The problem with IDW is that they're so goddamn expensive. But Image and Boom Studios too, and I think also Dark Horse does this with some of their books too, is that that's a great point. That's a great ploy to get in new readers. First volume, $10. Then everything else, you gotta pay more for. It's kind of like sucking someone, trying to get someone in for an addiction. First one's cheap, but then you gotta pay more for that for that sweet saga pussy. That came out weird, didn't it? Anyway, guys, if I continue this video any further, it's just gonna be me continuously saying, "Oh, go read more Image Comics." So, anyway, you guys tell me what you thought of this. What are your favorite titles from Image? Do you think Image has been killing it? What do you think in general of Image Comics nowadays? So, that's really all I have for this video. Later.